At Denton Peterson, we represent a lot of defendants who've been sued in Arizona but live or reside outside of Arizona. The first step, of course, when you get sued is knowing when is your deadline to get your answer or your response filed. And for a defendant outside of Arizona, a lot of times that can be a little bit of a question. Usually if you've been served in Arizona, then the answer is that you have to get your answer or your response filed within 20 days. But if you were served while you were outside, physically outside Arizona, then the answer is that you have to get your response filed within 30 days. And that's 30 calendar days. It's not uncommon to get an extension. If you've been sued and you give us a call, we can usually call the plaintiff's counsel and work out something with getting an extension. In Arizona, the default rules are a little bit unusual. Obviously, the big hammer to make sure that you file your answer on time is the risk of a default judgment. Well, in Arizona, you don't get the default judgment as the plaintiff 30 days after the complaint is filed. You have to first file what's called a notice of default. So as a practical matter, what happens is you're the plaintiff, you file a complaint against somebody who's off in another state, you wait the 30 days for the person to file their answer, and they don't do it. Then as the plaintiff, you're required to file a notice of default. And then you have to wait 10 judicial days after that before a default judgment can be entered. 10 judicial days means usually 14 calendar days. So as a practical matter, if you're a defendant and you're outside of Arizona, you're going to get the 30 days to file your answer. Even if you don't file your answer within that time, then the plaintiff has to file a notice of default, and then you have 14 calendar days at least before you need to file your response of pleading. It's important to know that you've done everything properly when you're coming in and you're going to be filing an answer, whether you're going to be filing a response of pleading of some other sort, perhaps a motion to dismiss, something of those along those lines. And it's important to call an attorney who's familiar with the deadlines. We can work with the plaintiff's counsel, we can prepare carefully to get the answer filed, we can talk about whether a motion to dismiss is a good strategy. And the important thing is to make sure that you've got a strategy that you know what it is before you file that initial pleading. Make sure it gets filed on time, of course, so you can move forward successfully in the litigation.